The movie shows us Laura. She is a beautiful woman enjoying a vacation on the beach. Her husband Martin is a successful investment consultant in Boston. They live in a summer house. The couple is spending time at a party and their eyes meet. It was love at first sight. The next day, Martin notices that a towel is hanging in the wrong place in the bathroom. He takes Laura there and reminds her not to make the same mistake again. Later, he meets a neighbor. The neighbor tells him that Martin's wife is wonderful. They talk about sailing and how much Martin loves sailing. The neighbor invites him to go sailing together, but he refuses, saying that his wife Laura is afraid of water and cannot even swim or go near water. Martin returns home. He doesn't like the fact that his neighbor is constantly staring at his wife, so he starts beating her. After the fight, he quickly apologizes and then tells her about the invitation from the neighbor to go sailing this week. At this point, we can say that Martin is an obsessive husband who physically and emotionally abuses Laura. Later that evening, Martin returns home. He apologizes again and gives her flowers, and then a red dress, her favorite color. He undresses her and makes her wear the dress. The next day, they talk about Laura's desire to work in the library, but Martin forbids her to do so. At this point, Laura reminds Martin that he didn't even allow her to attend her own mother's funeral 6 months ago. At night, the weather begins to deteriorate, and a neighbor assures Laura that nothing will happen. Martin looks at them with an eerie look. Then the weather gets worse and worse. Suddenly, the boat capsizes. Laura falls into the water, and Martin panics because he knows she doesn't know how to swim. They find Laura's life jacket and realize that she most likely would not have been able to survive in the water. A few days later, there is a funeral procession because Laura has died. Martin is very upset. He is sad without her, but in fact, Laura survived the storm. At this point, we can say that she planned and staged her own death. Then she returns home, grabs her things, cuts her hair, and throws her engagement ring into the toilet in a rage. She leaves this place forever. Laura is traveling by bus to Iowa. An elderly woman offers her fruit. They talk, and Laura tells her that she is going to see her mother. In fact, her mother is alive, and the last time she mentioned her death, which was also a lie. She then tells a story about her husband beating her and how she was trapped at home. Laura talks about faking her own death. She goes on to explain that she lived with her husband for 3 years. The bus brings her to Iowa, and we finally see a smiling woman who looks like she just got out of prison. She enjoys the little things in life. Then she rents a house. The rent for the house is $700. She takes a shower, and after the shower, she puts the towel in the wrong place. Ben is standing outside on the lawn. He is her neighbor, and she smiles at him. We return to Martin's house. He is walking along the shore, and a piece of light bulb hits him in the leg. He realizes that everything is over, and he won't be able to live as he used to. Laura goes outside and starts picking apples. Suddenly, Ben appears and tells her that she could be arrested for stealing. Then he says that they can make a deal. The woman replies that she doesn't make deals, so he goes back to her and brings her apples. Ben apologizes and says he didn't mean to scare her. He introduces himself and says that he is a drama teacher at the college. He wants to get to know her better, but Laura does not reciprocate and asks him to leave. Ben asks her out and leaves. Meanwhile, Martin is at work. He receives a call from a woman who works at the swimming complex. She remembers Laura and expresses her condolences. Martin is shocked because Laura never went to the pool. Then the woman tells him that Laura used to come there every morning to take swimming lessons, and she became a very good swimmer. Hearing this, Martin was very angry. He then goes home and spends hours going through her things. While going through her things, he notices the wedding ring she threw away earlier. He takes it out and realizes that Laura might be alive and she faked her own death. Laura goes to Ben's house with an apple pie she baked with his apples. She asks him to put on some music while they eat dinner. Ben finds out that she is looking for a job and offers her a job with him. Laura refuses. Then he notices a wound on Laura's head. He suspects that she had a difficult past. Laura makes up a new name for herself, Sarah. The next day, Martin continues to ask everyone about Laura. He goes to the nursing home where Laura's mother used to live. After some conversation, it turns out that Laura took her mother out of there 6 months ago. Ben helps Laura get a job at the library. He asks her about her real name. Ben says that he likes her, but the girl does not reciprocate, and upset Ben leaves. Later, she calls her mother from a phone booth to hear her voice. Martin hires a private detective and offers him $20,000 if he finds Laura in a few days. Meanwhile, the whole city is celebrating Independence Day. Ben spots Laura at the celebration. He shakes her hand and they are both happy to see each other. He apologizes, but she says it's okay. Then they talk a little about their personal lives, and Laura tells him that she misses her mother because she hasn't seen her for the last 6 months. Laura's mother is in a nursing home. Martin finds her and stands by her side. Laura is at home. She hears a knock on the door and Ben invites her to a special place. He brings her up on stage and sings a song for her. They are both having a lot of fun and are clearly in love with each other. They start dancing. Later, Ben and Laura return home and start kissing. Laura resists and pushes him away. She wants him to leave. The next day, Ben is upset and disappointed that Laura keeps pushing him away. Later, Laura comes to him and tells him about her ex-husband. He was abusive and she had to run away from him. Ben assures her that nothing will happen to her. Later, Ben helps Laura pretend to be a man, and then she goes to the nursing home. She goes to her blind mother, Chloe, and starts singing her a lullaby that her mother used to sing to her. Then she tells her that she has left Martin and tells her about Ben. Chloe tells her to be strong and not to let anyone hurt her anymore. Martin is in the same nursing home and asks about Laura. Then he is about to leave, and Laura drinks water from the fountain and walks away. The woman tells Martin about the visitor they had today, and he runs outside to find him. Laura returns home and is overwhelmed with joy. She throws herself into Ben's arms. Martin goes to see Chloe, posing as a private detective. He tells her that Martin is in town, and they need to find Laura to warn her. She doesn't know where to look for her, but tells him about Ben and the college where he teaches. Martin is about to brutalize Chloe, but he is interrupted by a nurse and leaves. The next day, he goes to the college and kidnaps a professor, but finds out that it's not the one he was looking for. Martin finds out that Ben teaches his students at the college and starts following him. Later that evening, he follows him and sees a happy Ben and Laura. He is shocked and jealousy takes over his mind. At this point, we can say that Martin is a psychopath. Laura and Ben return home, and she takes a bath and rests. Suddenly, she notices that the towels are not aligned and gets scared. She starts nervously checking the house. When she checks the house, she finds that all the kitchen towels are also out of alignment. She opens the kitchen cupboards and is happy to see that it is a mess. Then she goes outside and notices an open window. Ben enters the house and Laura is clearly scared. They then have dinner outside and he kisses her before he leaves. She goes inside and turns on the music. Martin's favorite song is playing. Then she notices that the closet is open and the fire alarm goes off. Laura is very scared because she thinks Martin might have found her. She then goes to the kitchen cabinets and finds that they have been rearranged exactly to Martin's standard. She cries, knowing that her fears have been realized. The man has been stalking her until the very end. Then he suddenly appears and kisses her. Ben knocks on the door. He reminds her of the meeting tomorrow. Soon after, Ben breaks down the door and attacks Martin, but he defeats him. Martin shows her the ring, and Laura knees him below the waist, forcing him to drop the gun. She grabs Martin's gun and points it at her husband. Martin says that even the police cannot protect her. He loves her. She calls the police and reports that she has eliminated the attacker. Laura shoots Martin, and he falls to the ground. Martin crawls to her, takes her gun, and starts shooting, but there are no more bullets. Martin finally dies of his wounds, and Laura goes to Ben. They embrace while waiting for the police. Claire is a young Australian tourist. She comes to Berlin to see the sights of the city. Staying in a cheap hostel, she spends the night on the roof with a group of young people who have also come to the new city. The next day, Claire walks the streets of the city, looking around the shops. She even buys some small souvenirs for herself, and afterwards, she goes to the library to look through the art books used in Berlin. On her way back to the hostel, she encounters a young man at a traffic light. He speaks calmly in English and even offers the stranger a strawberry. The young man seems attractive to Claire, and she agrees to go with him to the house where his father grows these berries. As they walk among the beautiful houses and gardens, Andy tells her about his childhood and how he and his parents had fun in a small and cozy house. Then he asks about the reasons why she decided to visit Berlin. Claire tells him that she used to work in a real estate company as a photographer. At some point, she wanted something more, and decided to photograph the architecture of Germany. After spending the whole day together, the young people go home. Andy offers to meet again, and the girl agrees. Despite the fact that Claire had planned a trip to Dresden, she decides to stay and not go anywhere. The very next evening, the couple ends the night in a rather interesting way. In the morning, Andy goes to work. He teaches English at a school. After work, a colleague invites him to go to a bar, but he refuses and says he is going on a date. Meanwhile, Claire is forced to stay in the apartment all day because the door won't open from the inside, and Andy didn't leave the keys. In the evening, the young people go to a club and then spend the evening having fun again. In the morning, the girl asks him about the key, and Andy says that it is hidden on the dresser. After that, he hurriedly leaves for work. Claire lays in bed for a long time, but still begins to slowly look around the apartment. Her attention is drawn to an art magazine. Looking through it, she finds a picture between the pages. In this photo, she sees a naked woman's shoulder with a word written on it. For some reason, this inscription caused the girl to feel anxious, and she immediately ran to the mirror. The exact same inscription appeared on her shoulder. Frightened, she hurries to the door. But of course, the key doesn't fit. The windows are also locked. There is no SIM card in her cell phone. Claire tries to escape by breaking a window, but finds that the windows are double glazed and cannot be broken. Andy is back from work, and he acts as if nothing is happening. He gives her flowers and offers to cook dinner together. All the questions Claire asks, the young man simply ignores. The girl gets very angry and attacks the guy, and he is forced to tie her to the bed. He tells her that no one will hear her because the apartments in this building are abandoned. The next day, Andy has lunch with his father. The father hears from his son about Claire and asks him about his previous relationship. He assures him that Natalie has returned to Canada. The father expresses his surprise because the young man only dates tourists. Upon returning home, Andy unties Claire so that she can take a shower and have dinner. Sitting in the bathroom, she notices blonde long hair in the drain hole. She realizes that she is not the first victim here. The captive girl spends the night tied to the bed again. In the morning, Andy frees her from the ropes and goes to work. He hides the key in a box with a combination lock, which he keeps on the outside of the apartment above the door. After making sure that the boyfriend has left for work, Claire begins her quest. She manages to find a screwdriver, which she immediately hides. In the evening, Andy returns home and finds the girl assembling the puzzle he brought her the day before. The captive behaves very quietly and reservedly, pretending to be very happy to see the young man back. When the moment is right, Claire sticks a screwdriver into Andy's hand, snatches the keys from him, and quickly runs out of the apartment. But of course, she doesn't manage to leave the courtyard because the boyfriend catches up with her. He injures the girl's arm and carries her back to the apartment. A few days later, Andy's student shows up on the doorstep. She tries to confess her feelings to him, but suddenly she sees Claire wrapped in a towel in the hallway. The girl is embarrassed by what she sees, and Andy sends her away, assuring her that they can have nothing in common. He even threatens her that he will tell her parents about this visit. Only then does the girl leave. The days go by very miserably, and Claire's life is still spent in prison. A young man continues to film her with Polaroid, forcing her to strike very strange poses. He cuts off locks of her hair and generally acts distant. A few weeks later, Andy learns of his father's death. Overwhelmed by grief, he stays at his father's house for a week, trying to process his loss. Snow has already fallen outside, and Claire, locked in the apartment, is forced to warm herself with the fireplace, which is almost out of wood. She is also running out of food, so she eats what she can find. Her strength is almost gone, as she is very hungry and cold. When Andy finally returns home, Claire feels relieved, and even something like grateful. After all, she thought that the young man had left her forever. When she learns about his father's death, she comforts Andy, and they end up in bed together again. From that day on, Claire's mood begins to improve. She willingly does housework, bakes pies, and even learns to play the accordion. At Christmas, sitting in the living room, she asks her boyfriend why he chose her. Andy admits that she is perfect for him, and he has never felt anything like this before. Later, he gives Claire a gift. He gives her a book and a dog that his father used to have. The girl cannot hold back her tears of joy, because now she has a real friend. Right after Christmas, Andy takes a girl into the woods, planning to eliminate her. However, he is interrupted by a little boy. He runs up to the couple and asks them to help his brother, who has twisted his leg. While the young man examines the injured child, Claire whispers to the boy to call for help. But the boy does not understand English. Deciding that there are too many witnesses around, Andy takes the girl back home. On New Year's Eve, he goes to visit Peter. They work together at the school. When fireworks are going off in the street, Yana shows her guests too much attention. He takes it as an insult and immediately tells the girl about it. She asks him to leave their house immediately. Claire, meanwhile, notices a man in the yard. She manages to get his attention, and he immediately comes to the door. But Andy immediately eliminates him. He forces Claire to help him wrap the man's body in plastic, then drag him out of the house and dispose of it. A few more weeks pass. An announcement about Claire Havel's disappearance appears in the newspapers. Andy sees the article and doesn't pay much attention to it. One evening he checks his student's work and sees that the girl has burned her hand. He goes to the room to get some medicine, not noticing that Claire is putting something in the student's notebook. In the morning, Andy goes to work. But before he does, he turns off the electricity and water in the apartment. We realize that the young man decided to abandon the captive girl in this way, leaving her to her fate. Meanwhile, Andy is handing out the students' homework books. When she opens a page, she sees a photo of Claire tied up. She remembers seeing this girl in her teacher's apartment. Trying not to give herself away, the student asks for permission to leave the classroom. She gets on her bicycle and rides towards the house. However, the student did not notice that the picture fell out when she got up from the desk. Her classmates immediately saw it and began to discuss it lively. Andy realizes that he has been exposed. He gets in his car and drives to his home. The student manages to free the captive girl, and they hide together in the uninhabited apartments of the house. With all her will, Claire manages to lure Andy into the apartment and lock him in. Resigned to his fate, the young man sits down in a chair and starts laughing, because he could not have foreseen such an outcome. Meanwhile, Claire gets into a taxi and drives away. Driving through the streets of Berlin, she breathes in the air of freedom she has been deprived of for so long.